Perseverance and grit doesn't make sense unless it's working. Quitting now has become a lost practice in today's day and age, and it's clear as to why. Quitting has become villainized, and as a result, a majority of people don't know how to quit. And that phrase in itself might have sounded absurd to some people watching this video. You might have already convinced yourself that quitting just isn't an option and that you should endure no matter the costs. You might have already equated quitting to failure, but don't worry, you aren't the only one. I believe that quitting has become misconstrued in today's day and age. I feel like a lot of people think that it's an easy task to do and that you could just leave whatever it is behind and never look back, but it is so much more than that. The way I see it, quitting essentially means removing something out of your life. You can't quit something that isn't a part of you. Whether it be a job, your education, or a relationship, you are putting yourself at risk of losing a part of who you are. Quitting a job requires you to replace it with another. Giving up on your education means finding a different path in life. And leaving a relationship means finding something to fill this empty space in which this other person used to occupy. Quitting, again, means losing a part of who you are. That is why it is such a daunting task and has become a lost practice. In the quitting process, you are forced to undergo some sort of growth in order to regain whatever it is that you've lost. And in doing so, you're also shattering some of the expectations, if not all of the expectations that people have about you. In other words, the shoulds in your life. Let me explain that a bit further. Say you're working a high-paying job. All of your friends and family tell you how proud they are of you. They praise you for making a good living. They appreciate that you are able to support them financially. But one day you decide to quit this job because you want to move it into a different field. You want to chase your dreams, or you're just flat out disappointed with where you are in life. Now, when people think of you, they don't associate you with this high-paying job anymore. Now, what is expected out of you, the main thing which was that high-paying job, it becomes obsolete. And the shoulds inevitably infiltrate your life again. But of course, this shouldn't be the main reason as to why you don't walk away from something that you just know isn't working. If your only reason to persevere is because it is expected out of you and that you should do it, then you really need to reevaluate a lot of things in your life. Because at the end of the day, having grit and perseverance, although very impressive qualities to have, they don't mean anything if you're working towards an insignificant goal. And you know, a lot of people don't know this, but grit actually means having perseverance, of course, but it also means having passion for long-term goals. It doesn't mean stripping away what we value in order to complete what we finished to feed our egos. In other words, grit is about working so hard for something that you stay loyal to it. It's not just about falling in love with something, it's learning to stay in love with it as well. And what they don't tell you about quitting is that it can be the best move that you could possibly make. And once you start viewing quitting as something that's beneficial, then you can find something that actually works for you rather than working towards something that doesn't. And in today's video, I'm going to teach you how to quit. Take it as an informative guide. At least I hope. Step 1 is to understand why it is that we quit. Quitting occurs when our actions do not align with our long-term goals. If you want to become a barber, there's no reason to go to law school. If you want to make a lot of money, there's no reason to stay in your part-time job when you can leave that position and find a full-time position. If you want to be more independent and happy, then you need to leave that toxic relationship. You decide to quit when you've realized that you have been walking in the wrong direction for too long. We quit because we have acknowledged that there is something else out there worthwhile in partaking in. Quitting, as it should be, is a very selfish task, and we need to understand that. Because often we have all these different opinions coming at us and these expectations and a lot of pressure to be successful and to do something with our lives. But quitting is selfish, and it's a decision that you have to make mostly by yourself. And because it is a selfish task, it is one that shouldn't be taken for granted. So that is step 1. Understand why it is that we quit. Understand why it is that you are quitting in the first place. One thing that I love doing whenever I encounter an issue is sitting down and writing about it nonstop. Whether it be quitting something or just an entirely different topic. When I left school around a little over a year ago, I actually sat down a few weeks prior and wrote for just shy of an hour straight about how I felt, all the thoughts and emotions that came up when I thought about leaving school. And I had a lot to say, and a lot of the thoughts I didn't even know existed. A lot of the emotions that I didn't know was possible to feel in regards to my education. And I can't lie, I'm gonna be fully blunt, I didn't really feel better. Ironically enough, it made me feel worse. I was even more frustrated than I was when I first started. I was even more sad than I was when I first started. But what happened was I realized that this topic was able to extract these feelings out of me. And eventually, I realized that these thoughts and emotions, they were going to come up eventually. They were going to come at me in one way, shape, or form. But with the journaling, I'm able to feel what I need to feel at a pace that I can handle. I'm able to go at a more efficient pace and organize these thoughts in a way where I can effectively use them in the future for when I do make a concise decision. So yeah, I would definitely encourage anybody to just sit down and write about it. And yes, with a pen and paper, if you sit down and write about it, you are able to actually slow down your thoughts. Just sitting down and thinking about it, or even just typing it out, it's a little bit too hectic. It's hard to attend to every single thought, and you won't really realize how important some thoughts are until you actually sit down and write about it, because it allows you to actually slow down your thoughts and go at a pace that you can handle. So sit down and actually write about it. Feel everything that you need to feel. Write out every little thought that you have about this topic, and journal with full honesty and respect towards yourself, because remember, these thoughts are going to be your support system throughout this entire process and onward as you move into this new journey. In economics, there is a term called the diminishing rate of returns. And it essentially means that too much of something doesn't always mean that it's a good thing. In my opinion, and I've said this before, but this decision should be made within your own accord. But it is extremely important to discuss with others. And I don't mean that because I want you to take their advice or listen to them wholeheartedly and agree with them on everything that they have to say. I'm saying this because you need to do it in order to stay sane. Because if you're thinking about one thing for a very long time, especially in solitude, it's gonna lead you to be insane. It's gonna result in insanity, and it might lead you to make an impulsive decision. There are so many moments in my life where I thought that I had things figured out, or that, I just thought that I came to a conclusion that actually works for me, to only figure out later on from the people around me that I'm completely insane and that I should approach it in a different way. What I'm trying to get at here is you can't make logical decisions by yourself 100% of the time. I'm sure you know the saying that goes, you can go fast by yourself, but you can go far with other people. I want to add something else to that phrase. Yes, you can go fast by yourself, but you might go fast towards a brick wall, or you might go fast in the wrong direction. I feel like it's a gamble when you're by yourself. You aren't 100% going to go fast in the right direction or even make the right decisions, but with somebody else, with the right people, you are able to go far in the right direction almost 100% of the time. So although yes, this decision is innately selfish, discuss with others so you don't go insane. Bounce ideas off of other people. Confirm what you're doing is the right decision by talking to others. Making this big of a decision can have a huge impact on your mental health. So just take one little step and just take some of the weight off of yourself and seek support from the people around you. It shouldn't take you long to make a decision after you have followed these steps. Honestly, you'll probably know sooner or later whether or not you want to quit. It just requires a little bit of time for you to actually accept it as a reality. And I know quitting isn't as easy as I may make it out to be. You can't just quit something and immediately thrust yourself into this new life that you have envisioned yourself to live. It requires a bunch of small side missions and little steps that you have to take that is independent to each person. And if I were to talk about all that, this will be a 2-hour-long video. But long story short, you just have to understand that quitting in itself is a journey. Don't expect to get things right 100% of the time. It's okay to make a decision and feel right about it, but quit maybe a few months later because it just doesn't align with what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, it isn't really failing, you just haven't found the correct way to do it. Remember, it's easier to quit earlier on than to accrue more losses along the way. And I know, it might seem wrong at first, and you might have a lot of second thoughts, but just keep in mind what you told yourself at the beginning of this entire process. Everything that you told yourself that prompted you to quit in the first place. This is a decision that only you can understand to its fullest extent. It's inevitable that you'll disappoint people along the way. You'll cut ties with a lot of loved ones and struggle a lot during this process. But you have to remember that you quit for a reason. You knew that there was something else out there waiting for you, something worthy of your sacrifice. You knew that you were walking fast in the wrong direction for long enough. Now it's time to finally walk, slow or fast, in the right direction. You got this. Just know that I believe in you.